Good evening, friends, and welcome to the sixth episode of Moonshot Conversations. Friends, please remember to ask your questions during this live show, and we will be answering them if there is a time or after the show. Lina will do the responses to the questions. Each Sunday, we will take the greatest question asked and the greatest comment and post it on our page along with the sacred contributor's name. In fact, this morning we already have done it. We have covered the foundation of why we are here and what we are here to do together with our corroboree. We have discussed the importance of optimism, growth mindset, resilience, and self awareness. Every single second is an opportunity to change your life because in any moment you can change the way you feel. If you have missed any of these episodes, I urge you to watch them and do the journal work, especially the one on self awareness. We will shortly have a series of moonshot conversations about what we covered in the episode on self awareness habits, values, needs, and motivation. This is when we begin to get granular into the nitty gritty of the self mastery process. Before we go there, we need to discuss one big picture piece so then you'll be able to start threading the links together. So far, we have spoken about the importance of our language, internal, which is our thoughts, and external, that is our language. Today, we will be discussing the science of the law of attraction.
Yes, Agnella Rajesh, really happy to be here. The beauty and the importance about our language continues. This is basically the main self-development mastery aspect to gain command over your brain and the quality of your life.
Absolutely.
So in the journal, we've got a TED Talk, and the TED Talk master speaks of it. What you think about, you bring about. Let me repeat that. What you think about, you bring about.
Yes.
So does one of the greatest selling books of all time called The Secret. Now, I want to say up front, I'm not a big fan of The Secret. It has led to a whole lot of people around the world thinking that they can think of a diamond necklace or a Porsche or George Clooney, or I don't know who you're going to think about, Agnella Rajesh, and suddenly they can manifest that into their reality. This is extremely hyped up and a typical American style of thinking. This places harmful expectations on the self and on the whole thing of positive thinking. So if you can release that way of thinking,
Mhm.
then you can derive a lot from this episode. The irony is that so much of what happens in neuroscience, neurobiology, and energy science is telling us that after we have found the way with technology to map, monitor, and prod the brain, ancient wisdom says, that what technology has been saying to us today, after all the research, ancient wisdom has been saying to us forever.
Wow, I agree, Lina. In fact, expectations need to be practical and logical. The ancient wisdom has indeed been the source of all research.
Yes. So in a sense, it's only that science and spirituality are actually narrowing their gap. They're coming closer together. Arguably, one of the greatest scientists that ever lived, Nikola Tesla, stated that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy,
Yes.
frequency, and vibration. He
Mhm.
also stated that my brain is only a receiver. In the
Mhm.
universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of the universe, but I know that it exists. And don't forget that, some may argue that Einstein was the greatest scientist of all time. But when Einstein was asked how does it feel to be the smartest man alive? His reply was, I don't know, you'll have to ask Nikola Tesla.
In fact, Lina, I truly believe science and spirituality are indeed narrowing the gap. I also like the idea of thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Imagination is everything. It is the preview of one's life's coming attractions, is what even Albert Einstein said. Lina, I believe in the law of attraction and I use it in my life all the time without knowing the science. So, this is going to be fascinating to learn. So, what is the science of law of attraction?
So this is a really deep area of research and study, and I've had to simplify it to do it in half an hour. And I'm going to simplify it into 4 steps. Right. The first is we need to become aware of our reticular activation system and how it works. So this is an area in the brain which from now on we're going to call RAS or RAS. So when I say RAS or RAS, you have to understand it as reticular activation system. The second step is goal setting. The third step is the power of your thoughts, energy, and vibrations. And and the fourth step is something that I came up with myself and I found it really great, is that um, you have to take the action that gives you traction. So
Absolutely.
so let's first talk about the RAS and how it functions. One thing to understand about the brain is that its really important function is not just to take in stimulus and read it from the external environment, but more importantly, to block out external stimulus. You know, a lot of people don't understand that if our brains would have taken all the information that could come in from our senses, the
Mhm.
touch, taste, smell, we would be bombarded by information. We wouldn't know how to process it. In some sense, this is what autistic children go through. You know, when they actually get a data process overloaded, and they try to kind of calm themselves down. So if we try to process all the incoming information, we would absolutely go bananas. So the
Absolutely.
brain has developed a way of processing information. So this is the filter. The RAS, the reticular activation system, is a filter in our brain.
Mhm.
This is a filter that's applied to all the amount of data that gets picked up by our five senses, our seeing, our ears, everything else. This filter works 24/7. It's working even when you sleep. In
Mhm.
fact, it's the only thing, the reticular activation system is the only thing that's keeping you from being overwhelmed by the 2 billion, not even 2 million, 2 billion bits of information passing through your sensory organs every second. Say that again, Agnila Rajesh.
Wow, 2 billion
2
pa-
billion
bits of information passing through your sensory organs every second.
every.
Fabulous.
So think of the reticular activation system as a reference collector that directs your focus and shapes your beliefs.
Fantastic. I absolutely agree. To achieve big goals in life, we must not only act or react, but also dare and dream. Not only think and plan, but also believe and implement. So the RAS in our brain essentially decides for you exactly what you'll consciously give your attention to at any given moment. How does it do this, Lena? I'm very curious to know that.
So when you set a goal, you communicate to your RAS, right? That anything associated with that goal is really important to you. So if it's important to you, it's really important to your brain. So then your RAS goes to work by bringing to your attention anything associated with that goal, right? So the reality is we only have a limited amount of energy and attention
Mhm.
that we can direct towards our goals, and we have an overwhelming amount of data, as I explained, that comes through. So the RAS is the filter.
Mhm.
There's a book that I read by Ruben Gonzalez. The book is called Courage to Succeed, and he explains it as this way: even though the cerebrum is a center of thought, it will not respond to a message unless the RAS allows it.
Amazing. So when a goal is set, the RAS gets the focus set on that goal and everything associated with that goal. Fantastic. So our RAS helps us in make this process of paying attention and being focused a little bit easier. Well, Lena, it sounds like Google. There are millions of websites, but you need to type in a keyword to filter your attention. What else could we do to bring our goals to life?
So now we got the first part, the intention, right? We
Yes.
speak to our RAS. The second part is the goal setting.
Mhm.
Writing down your goals is a research back way of meeting your goals. It will
Mhm.
increase the chances of you, phenomenally, it increases the chances of you actually achieving those goals. If
Mhm.
anyone is interested in the research document, write in and we will send it to you. So
I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. All will want this document, Lena. Everybody would want this document. They can just send us a message and we shall send it to them immediately. The document that you're going to talk about or just spoke about.
yes. So yeah, it's a very, as I said, this is a very intense subject. So to narrow it went down to half an hour took a lot of work. So I have to leave some of those things out. We're all going to now intend, and we're going to write down our goals. So
Mhm.
this will keep on, and you put it. And we're going to put those goals somewhere that we go to very often, either the fridge or the foot of the bed, somewhere that's visible, and that keeps that kind of keeps speaking to your eyes, and it sort of keeps you in a state of arousal.
Mhm.
Um, your RAS in a constant state of arousal that keeps you focusing on your goals. So our brain only gets super focused if and when it needs to. That's the important thing we need to understand. Otherwise, you know how you put a computer to sleep? Your brain is
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes.
Your brain kind
Yes.
of just goes to sleep. And it does a minimal amount of work needed when it's not required to. So when a person has no clear goals, they don't write down the goals, and they don't have plan to achieve those goals, their
Mhm.
level of goal arousal, passion, and overall enthusiasm is low. As a result, they do not recognize or identify the people, opportunities, situations, or resources that could be helpful to them. So, this is the one thing we actually need to correct in our education system for our children. We need to apply this knowledge for our children to optimize their potential and to reach their goals.
I love the idea of writing down the goals and place them at visible places so that it keeps reminding us. Lina, by learning how to activate our reticular activation system, we increase our chances of being more efficient with our goals. By writing down our goals and plans for achieving our goals, we learn to focus our attention on what really matters. Doing so gets our reticular activation system aroused and working in our favor.
Absolutely. So when you write down your goals, you make a point of being specific with a direction that's important for you to move in. And in the
Mhm.
journal, we've actually explained everything. We've done it twice, once for you to set your goals and
Yes.
once for your kids to help your kids set their goals. So you pinpoint specific directions that you want to move forward in and the
Mhm.
specific steps that you will need to take to get there. So as you get in touch with what's exciting and rewarding to you, you increase your levels of arousal and become crystal clear about what matters. So as you're doing this, your
Mhm.
RAS in your cortex is aroused and
Mhm.
promotes you to be ready and alert to respond to cues in the environment that are relevant to your goals.
In fact, I like the idea of increasing the levels of arousals and becoming crystal clear about what matters.
Yes, absolutely. So when the RAS is activated, we can process and reorganize information much more efficiently in a
Mhm.
way that supports our achieving the goals that we put down. So the intention sets your direction. Yeah, because if you don't know your direction, you can't go anywhere. There's a lovely story in Alice in Wonderland that I use with kids. When I'm trying to explain this to kids in a way that's friendly to them. Alice is
Mhm.
lost and she's exploring the dark forest and she desperately is attempting to find a way. And
Mhm.
then there's a Cheshire cat perched high in a tree. And Alice stops and asks him for directions. And the cat asks, "Where are you going?" And Alice says, "I don't know." And the cat responds so intelligently, with so much wisdom. "Well, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there."
Wow.
So, this is the revelation that our RAS has to know where we want to go in order to take us there.
Wow, I love it. That sounds like Google Maps, Lena. You have to put a destination to begin the journey. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Well, friends, your intention sets your attention, which sets your direction. And if your RAS does not know where you want to go, it does not know what to focus attention on. If you write down your goals, it speaks deeply to your RAS to keep focused on it. I would love to have your thoughts on that, Lena.
So, let me do an exercise with you that Anthony Robbins did with us. Okay.
Okay.
So, let the entire corroboree do this right now. You do it
Mhm.
wherever you're sitting in your home.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Agnila Rajesh, look around you and look
Okay.
at how many white things you can find.
Okay.
I'm giving you 10 seconds. Quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now close your eyes. Yeah. Now look at me quickly and tell me how many black things did you see?
Oh, but you told me to see at white things. I didn't see any black things.
So this shows you, right? You actually only pay attention to what you tell your RAS to pay attention to. So you told your RAS to look for white things, not for black things. And so you only process that, right? So it's not that you attracted the white things in your environment, it's just
Mhm.
that your focus made your neurobiology hypersensitive to its occurrence in your environment. So
Mhm.
let me tell you another way your RAS works, right? So if you've identified a car that you want and you say you want a yellow car
Okay.
or a blue car,
Mhm.
the minute you've decided and you've told your RAS you want a blue car, when you go on the road, all you're going to see is blue cars.
Blue
It's not
cars.
that it's not that they weren't there before. It's just
Mhm.
that that you're looking at. And Namrata Thakur put it beautifully. She just said selective attention. Exactly, Namrata. It's selective attention. So
Yes.
I read an article on the power of 11, right? That if you see 1111 in your environment, it's an angel number. And you won't believe it. It's as though every time I look at my clock, it's
It will
either
say
911, 1011, 1111. It's always 11. There was a colleague who used to work in the office, and she said, she always finds insects in her food.
Mhm.
And indeed, come lunchtime, there it was. There was always insect in her food. So
Fantastic.
it's it's just weird.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Lina. That was a very interesting exercise. The white and the black. It's not what you attracted, the white things in the environment, but the focus made your neurobiology hypersensitive to its occurrence in your environment. It's a phenomenal concept. What we see is what our RAS filters for us. We are so grateful that we have a filter in our mind. So, step one of the law of attraction could be defined as I attract to my life whatever I give my attention to. Not only attention, but also energy and focus too. And step number two is I write it down as goals. Lina, what about step number three?
So, when we spoke about an optimistic mindset,
Mm,
we spoke about how our inner world creates our outer reality, right? That and every thought alters the structure of our brain. I keep repeating that because that's one of the most important things I'll ever say. So now
mhm,
the bit about energy. There is a physiological foundation for positive thinking, and
mhm,
it's effective in creating the law of attraction.
mhm,
So there are many forms of energy: atomic, thermal, electro, motive, kinetic, potential energy. They're all energy. And we all know, if we've done physics, that energy can never be destroyed. It can only change form, right? So we now actually can measure electromagnetic energy, and that it vibrates at different frequencies. We know, for example, after 9/11, the
mhm.
electromagnetic energy that the Earth was emanating altered drastically, right? So we can actually measure this now. So um, if atoms align, they kind of pull together in the same way. So it's, if you're vibrating at the same energy frequency level and I'm vibrating at the same similar frequency level, we attract each other. We vibe together. That's when we
Mhm.
say, she's got a nice vibe. That's exactly what it means.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, Lina, this is very interesting. Nice to know that there is a psychological foundation for positive thinking and its effect in creating the law of attraction.
Yes. So we know that the creation of positive and negative poles on the earth, it's a fact of nature and science, right? So
Yes, yes.
in the same way, we don't have to see the law of attraction as some new age voodoo. It is a law of nature that every atom, is in constant response to energy, whether we know it or not. It's like we've got uh, an aerial radar that's
Mhm.
constantly reading frequencies.
Right.
So every single moment you have a mood or a feeling. In this moment right now, the mood or feeling you are experiencing, I'm experiencing, is causing
Absolutely.
us to emit or send out negative or positive vibrations. And
Mhm.
here's where the law of attraction comes in. The law of attraction is responding to the vibration you're offering. So step 3 is the visualization step, bringing the emotion to the goal in such a way to
Mhm.
imagine that it's already happened and to feel the emotion of that. So the step 3 is absolute belief, that you have to be 100% sure. It's how it's how the whole medical field around the placebo effect works. Only if you've actually believed you've taken the pill that's going to work will it actually work on your body.
Fantastic. So, what you radiate outward in your thoughts, feelings, mental pictures, and words, you attract in your life. So, this is why there is such an emphasis of internal and external words. Words are everywhere, friends. We speak them, we read them, we write them, we think about them, we see them, we type them, and we hear them in our head. All the time, it keeps hitting your head here. The precise words are important because words we think and use generate the feeling and the vibration that we send out.
So I love it. Namrata's just said, our vibe attracts our tribe. Absolutely, Namrata.
Absolutely. Yes.
So your thoughts are made of words. Your words form your feelings, and these feelings create either negatively charged or positively charged vibrations.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
why so many people say that thoughts are things. So be very careful of your thoughts, right? So new research into the brain and the body, the mind and the consciousness, and has it's a quantum leap in our understanding of physics. Is
Mhm.
suggesting expanded possibilities of how we can move forward and innately know and realize our real potential.
Lena, I like the explanation of the thoughts creating charged vibrations. Everything is within your power and your power is within you. But I would like to understand, what do you mean by a quantum leap in our understanding of physics?
So it basically shows us that our mind has an effect on the external world. So
Okay.
there's what they call the observer effect in quantum physics, and you can look it up and explore it more. And this states that wherever you direct your attention is where you place your energy. So consequently, you affect the material world, which is all made up of energy, right? We all know the table, chair, and everything is just made up of energy. And Atoms are mostly just energy in motion. So anything in the physical world, the chair, the table, at its core is all energy.
Mhm.
Think about this, Agnella Rajesh. Everything
Absolutely.
physical in your life is not solid matter. Rather, it's just all fields of energy or frequency patterns of information.
Wow. So all physical solid matter is all made up of energy, and we can lower our vibrational frequency or raise it by the virtue of our thoughts and feelings, Lena?
Yeah. So what we need to understand about our state of mind is that our brain does not distinguish between what is actually happening in the outer world of reality and what is
Mhm.
happening in the inner world of your mind. Yeah. So when you have a dream, if you feel like you're being chased by a murderer, you're going to have the same physical reaction because you're having the same mental reaction, right? So if you can mentally rehearse a desired experience just via thought alone, only thought, you will experience the emotions of that event even before it's physically manifested. So not
Okay.
only that, Agnil Rajesh, brain science is also showing us that if we play the piano in the real
Mhm.
world, or
Yes.
we rehearse playing the piano mentally, right?
Mhm.
This is very, very important. The same things happen in your brain. Whether you're actually playing it or mentally playing it, the same things happen in your brain. The same regions are stimulated, the same brain change occurs. So
Okay.
coaches, today who are coaching players, make their players do this all the time because they've understood the brain science. So, say a basketball coach is helping his basketball player. He
Mhm.
will make the player mentally rehearse the dunking of the ball in the hoop and feeling the energy, the
Wow.
elevated emotion, the immense gratitude of
Mm.
having shot the basket. So,
Oh,
we communicate with the quantum field. Remember what Nikola Tesla said, right? We
yes.
communicate with the quantum field primarily through our thoughts and our feelings. So,
Mhm.
since our thoughts are themselves energy, right? And as I said, energy can be measured by technology such as an EEG machine. Our thoughts are one of the primary means by which we send signals into the field.
So we
So,
can mentally, so Lena, do you mean to say that we can mentally rehearse a desired experience in our thoughts and we will be able to experience the emotions of that event before it has physically manifested?
yes, and your brain will go through the same changes. So
Wow.
all top performers, regardless of the profession, know the importance of picturing themselves succeeding in their minds before they actually do in reality. So boxing
Fantastic.
legend Muhammad Ali was always
Mhm.
stressing the importance of seeing himself victorious long before
Okay.
the actual fight.
Okay.
Um, as a struggling young actor, Jim Carrey did the same thing. He pictured himself as being the greatest actor in the world. In fact, in the journal is a link showing you how he visualized his success and how he wrote himself a check for $10 million.
Mhm.
Michael
Oh.
Jordan, Michael Jordan always took he always took the last shot in his mind before he ever took one in real life. So
Mhm.
these top performers, among many others, have mastered the technique of positive visualization and
Wow.
openly credit it as a success tactic. So when you think of a big goal
Mhm.
or a dream
Mhm.
that you want to achieve,
Yes.
you want to think of it in ways that are positive rather than the obstacles. You
Wow.
know,
So, Lena, so say I want to manifest something like developing a unique themed school for just 200 students in Goa. I think about it and I activate my RAS. I write it down as a goal and I pin this up and feel the elevated emotions of having it done.
okay, let's do this together, Agnel Rajesh.
Sure.
So you remember what Nikola Tesla said. Now I'm going to
Yes.
tell you what Albert Einstein said.
Okay.
Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So, Agnella Rajesh, you and I'm going to, as soon as we finish this, I'm going to write down what is our intention. We're going to build a school for
Unique,
200 children.
unique themed school for 200 children in Goa. I'm being very specific with my goal.
Okay, you've already spoken to your ass. I'm going to speak to my ass tonight, and our asses will get it on.
For
so,
sure.
so that is a start, right? Uh,
Okay.
af- so we've done 3 steps.
Okay.
We've set our intention, we've
Yes.
written down our goals, and
Yes.
and we felt it with all the emotion. So we've given it the energy. Yeah, but
Perfect.
now there's a fourth part. The fourth part means a little bit of work.
Mhm.
So after you write it down, right? your RAS will begin to focus on any opportunities to make this happen. So you and I will start looking at this from tomorrow, and we'll
Mhm.
start seeing opportunities will come to us, whether we believe it or not. So
Absolutely.
once we start seeing those opportunities,
Mhm.
we will just act on them. So we have to take the action that gives us traction. So
Okay.
after we write down our goal, we'll talk about it. What action is going to give this traction? It will move us forward, and we will realize this goal.
Lovely, fantastic. I believe in this and I practice it, Lena. I have often spoken about spoken about it, about how you think, ideate, create a goal, build intention, create direction, and try and achieve it. Have you ever tried this?
So obviously I have. I believe so much in it. So I've gone to a date with destiny twice. In fact, it's after that I started my research into the reticular activation system. So once in 2006 and then 2 years ago.
So, Lena,
Right?
do you remember once 2 years ago when you were back from Australia or getting back from this Anthony Robbins Date with Destiny show that you attended in Australia? We met at the Dubai airport where you were changing your flights from Australia to Dubai and Dubai to Mumbai. And that is exactly when you told me about this Date with Destiny program of Anthony Robbins. And we also decided that the next one you wouldn't mind attending the third time, and if I attend it along with you. So, can you imagine? We never had an idea that one day, 2 years later, on a live Facebook show on Moonshot Conversations, we will be having this conversation. So it is like connecting the dots backwards and now creating it forwards. This is fantastic. This is very surprising.
So our RAS has already started working,
So
right?
our
So
Ras is already started working.
yeah. The first time I
And
went
not
to
only, and Lena, not only did we meet each other at the Dubai airport early in the morning at 4 o'clock for the 4 o'clock flight, but coincidentally, in such a large flight, our seats were also next to each other. So it cannot be a better example of law of attraction.
so you can call it coincidence, synchronicity, or you can call it that I started activating my RAS. Because
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what happened 2 years ago. The first time I went to Date with Destiny, that was about 12, 13 years ago. I wanted to write and publish a book, right? So I went through the entire arousal emotion state that Anthony Robbins asked me to go through. I did my goal setting, I set my intention, all of that. I came back and I just started writing. And you can call it coincidence or whatever. A month later, Penguin Random House emails me and asks me if I would write a parenting book for them. And I did. Not only one, I wrote two. So the Dalai Lama calls it auspicious coincidence. Other people call it synchronicity. Other people call it the law of attraction. The time we met, I'd gone to a date with destiny. And I thought and I wrote down that I wanted to create a self-mastery learning system.
Wow.
I felt it with all my being. And apart from meeting you, which I didn't know was going to take me towards my destiny, but all I started seeing were books on self mastery, and I began reading and researching over and above what I used to do for Kangaroo Kids in Billabong High, that I'd already been putting in the curriculum, and I already had the thought, written down the goal, and started the work, and then bang, 3 months ago, you called me for a webinar in the infrastructure space at the time of the pandemic. We spoke, and Moonshot Conversations and Corroboree were born.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, whatever you create in your life, you must first create in your imagination. If you can dream it, you can do it. I love this statement from Walt Disney. If you can dream it, you can do it. So, intention sets direction. Set your intention and you'll set your direction. That is a fabulous guideline to the mind. So, friends, where in your life can you start seeing your direction? That's very important to understand. Remember, the law of attraction needs 4 steps. Set your intention through your thought, set your direction by writing down your goal, infuse it with positive vibrational energy, and take action that causes the traction. And you will see the RAS in full action, the law of attraction being creating a new story for you, the way it has done for me and Lena with Moonshot Conversations and Corroboree. So, the real secret to success has a basis in neuroscience. You can condition your brain to achieve your dreams and goals.
Absolutely, Agnella Rajesh. But I'd just like to state one caveat, right?
Okay.
That from an evolutionary point of view, our brain is designed to conserve energy. So we can't be in a state of fear and in a state of growth. So
Okay.
you can't be scared of a tiger and thinking about how you're going to philosophically grow.
Absolutely.
So we can only be in one state at a time, which is why I speak so much about the amygdala the fear center of our brain, and how we need to keep that under control. So we have to learn the art of emotional regulation, which involves being more in the present in our head than in the past or in the future. And this is also why meditation is so important. So as long as you self-regulate your emotional state, the more
Mhm.
likely you are to keep growing and meeting your goals.
So one of the things that I can see as a conflict here is that in school we keep activating the amygdala of the students with tests and examples. The
Yep.
amygdala switched on puts us in the stress made, and this goes against the growth mode because when you are activating your amygdala, definitely the stress creeps in. I now see the importance of the optimistic mindset episode, Lena, the growth mindset episode, and the self awareness one also. All of these will help our children to regulate and keep the amygdala in control, and therefore their fear and stress is in check, which will lead to continuous growth. And I firmly believe in this. So guys, if you have not done the previous episodes journals, you should see the episodes and also do the journals.
Absolutely. And our next episode is going to be on staying in the present moment, which is where you
Yes.
can actually self regulate. So, the things that we know about our brain
Mhm,
that mean we should change what we're doing in education. Yeah, we
mhm.
need to activate the RAS of our children and teach
Yes.
them these techniques. So, novelty and curiosity wakes up the reticular activation system. There are
Mhm,
other ways of activating the reticular activation system in the classroom that would literally turn the brains on of our children. So, I'll give
mhm,
you an example. When I was heading the instructional design process for Billabong High, in grade 5, children had to learn about the digestive system. So,
mhm.
one way to do it is to teach it from a textbook. You put the morsel of food in your mouth, and then it goes down your blah, 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 and then it comes out your anus. The other way is to turn the reticular activation system on. So you set up the learning in such a way that it builds it kind of activates curiosity, novelty, and intrigue. So the
Mhm,
way I used to instruct the design team to frame it is a murder has taken place.
mhm.
That they will build a story and draw the learner in. The detective calls a forensic scientist. In the autopsy, the forensic scientist first examines the contents of the victim's stomach. Using your understanding of the digestive system, explain how this would help solve the murder mystery. That's an absolute reticular activation system alert.
Fabulous. That is the best way a child can pick up interest in the subject matter, and then it doesn't become study. It becomes something which is very exciting for him. And his RAS, like you said, is absolutely alert. Lena, what about the four-step process? How could we use that so that for our children and teenagers?
So we're running short of time, so it's in the journal, right? Setting the right intent plays a key role in encouraging our subconscious mind through the reticular activation system to create pathways of success. So you're going to go through the 4 steps, and these 4 steps are in the journal, and you're
Okay.
going to go through these 4 steps and maintain these actions for 28 days continuously to help your children form the habits that are necessary for achieving their goals. Their
Okay.
positive intent will translate into positive outcomes because the RAS will ensure that they filter out anything irrelevant to these goals.
But why 28 days, Lena?
So, from a neuroscience point of view, it takes about 28 days to embed a new habit behavior. So, manage your expectation and don't expect instant results, mums and dads. Repetition is the way to gradually entrench an habit. And when we talk about habits, we'll get into that neuroscience a little bit more. And
Mhm.
the 30-day challenge is a great challenge to set yourself to begin rewiring your own neural pathway. So, this will be explored in one of our Moonshot conversations.
Lovely, Lina. Friends, goal setting is an essential step in the process of achieving success. It is the roadmap telling our brains which direction we need to move towards. This is a habit that needs to be created in children because they cannot, at the age of 15, suddenly be expected to know what they want if they have never thought about it before. Right, Lina?
Absolutely.
Furthermore, setting the right intent can positively affect our lives on a daily basis, in addition to helping us create a very happier future.
Absolutely. So, to gain an experience in setting your intent and possibly programming your RAS,
Mhm.
um, you have to do it with no doubt in your mind. Yeah. So, the
Absolutely.
words you use are very, very important. Use the words I intend or I will when you set your intention. Don't use the words like I will try or I hope or I want. Right? Simple changes in your language creates a very different experience in your brain. So the
Mhm.
research shows that if you're on a diet and I offered you a chocolate, if you say I don't eat chocolate, you're more likely to meet your weight loss goals than if you say I can't eat chocolate. When you say I don't eat chocolate, you are in control. When you say, I can't eat chocolate, you're giving the power away. And that doesn't, your brain actually doesn't like to give the power away.
Okay. So I see the power in Henry Ford's message, Lina. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. Think about it. He was actually saying that whatever we believe will happen and will happen. So that is so true, and we have experienced this so many times in our life. The things that we hold in mind will ultimately come about. Our intention sets our direction. This is really one of the ultimate self-development secrets. By applying these, friends, we are setting the compass for our journey to our goal. Because if you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. That is what Lina explained in the short story that she said about Alice in Wonderland. Friends, when you look at the law of attraction this way, it is not black magic at all. It is something which will empower you on how to set goals and achieve them very comfortably and very happily.
That's absolutely right, Agnil Rajesh. All of you, there's 4 steps, and there's 4 steps for your kids. It's in the journal with all the explanation. Please please download the journal and do the work. You will see the magic. This is all time that we have time for now. We've already run out. So see you next Sunday when we discuss the power of staying present. And Agnila Rajesh and I have a gift for you, a surprise gift for you the week after. We have my dear friend Rageshwari, actor, singer, and author of Building a Happy Family, coming on our show for a guest appearance on Sunday the 9th, speaking to us about the power of mindfulness. So look forward to seeing you next Sunday on The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's very, very famous book, and absolute wisdom.
Thank you so much, Lina, and thank you, the audience, for being with us on this journey of Moonshot Conversations at Corbury. We look forward for your further suggestions, your questions, and all the answers or all the comments that you have made. We have got plenty of comments. Lina is going to answer every question. She is going to respond to every message. When I say she, it is only she who's going to do it. I'm not going to be a part of it. Let her enjoy the process. We look forward to meeting you next Sunday. The joy of learning this kind of self-awareness programs or success habits is completing the journal that is available at moonshotconversations.com. Not only today's journal, but try to download the previous journals also. It will add a lot of value to your lives. Do it as a family activity. Today's journal has got around 3 videos. It has got exercises for everybody, including children from the age of 4 to 8 and 8 to 16, and absolutely 100% of the parents who are watching this show. Enjoy the YouTube videos as well, which we have selected from the millions and billions of videos which are available. So enjoy this journey with us, and we see you again on next Sunday at 5 p.m. sharp. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.